Coming up today, President Park Geun-hye is set to meet with the leaders of Korea's ruling and main opposition parties. She's going to urge them to support the ratification of the Korea-China FTA and her administration's labour market reform plans. War-separated families say their final goodbyes on the third and final day of the first stage of the reunion event. We have a special report on another emotionally charged day. Plus, a thick layer of air pollution that has blanketed Korea's central region over the past couple of days dissipates somewhat, but we'll have to wait for a return to clear blue skies. Stay tuned for these stories and more. Hello, it's noon on Thursday, the 22nd of October. You're tuned in to our midday newscast here on Arirang TV. Thank you for joining us. I'm Mark Broome. And we start with today's rare meeting between President Park Geun-hye and the leaders of Korea's two main political parties. The president wants to debrief them on the results of her recent trip to the US and ask for their support in Parliament. The atmosphere is likely to be frosty, though, with the main opposition party expected to protest the administration's decision to retake control of the nation's history education. Hwang Sang-hee reports.
For the first time in 7 months, President Park will meet with Kim Moo-sang, head of the ruling Saenuri Party, and Moon Jae-in, head of the main opposition New Politics Alliance for Democracy, at the presidential office. The party's floor leaders will also be in attendance. The presidential office of Cheongwade said Thursday's meeting will be an opportunity to put all pending issues on the table and narrow their differences. But there's little expectation the president and the party leaders will make that much progress. President Park plans to debrief them on the outcome of her recent trip to Washington and call for the swift passing of bills related to labor reform and economic revitalization. The ruling party says the agenda should be fixed on improving the livelihoods of the people.
We ask the New Politics Alliance for Democracy to engage in talks with a strong determination to make it a meeting for the people, not a meeting of political strife.
But the opposition party is expected to bring up the sticky issue of the reintroduction of state-issued history textbooks for secondary schools.
We urge the Park administration to immediately end its attempt to trick the nation into publishing a state-issued textbook that is pro-Japan and beautifies dictatorship.
Further muddying the prospects of success is the opposition party's demand that its spokesperson attend the meeting. Hwang Sang-hee, Arirang News.
Now, staying with domestic politics, and the two main rival parties each invited history scholars to the National Assembly today to buttress their positions on the government's plan to issue state-authored history textbooks. The two professors invited to the forum by the ruling Saenuri Party argued against the current system, which allows private publishers to make history textbooks and then for them to have government authorization. They said the result is that all the textbooks tend to be left-leaning and lenient towards North Korea. The main opposition, New Politics Alliance for Democracy, held another forum inviting 3 authors of current history textbooks. The party said the current textbooks may not be perfect, but they try to reflect a view that takes pride in the resistance movements against Japan's colonization of the peninsula and the end of the dictatorships of the past. Turning now to the last day of family reunions taking place at the Mount Kumgang Resort in North Korea. The first group of war-separated families is saying their goodbyes on the third and final day of the first stage of the reunion event. For more on this emotionally charged day, let's connect to our Connie Kim, who's standing by at the Inter-Korean Dialogue headquarters in Seoul. Connie.
Well, Mark, it's hard to imagine that these families will have to be separated again after being parted for more than 60 years, not knowing when they'll see each other again. Many gathered today looked like they had spent a long night with swollen eyes from crying overnight. There were handkerchiefs on the tables, and some began tearing up as soon as they saw the faces of their loved ones. Since then, families have been exchanging letters, going through pictures, and hugging one another as they hold on to their final minutes together. Everyone seemed to have the same parting words. stay healthy, and let's meet again when Korea unifies. Unfortunately, there were some people who had to leave in the middle of the reunion event and others who couldn't make it to the final meeting due to health problems. That once again shows that time is running out for the families who still haven't had the chance to reunite.
Yes, lots of tears, as you'd imagine. Let's hope this isn't really the final goodbye for those families. But Connie, there's another round of family reunions starting Saturday. Tell us more about that.
Well, Mark, the second round of reunions will start on the 24th, which will continue for 3 days with a similar schedule to the first round. 90 South Koreans will meet with 188 North Koreans in the north. Now, they too will also meet for six times for 12 hours for individual meetings, group meetings, meals, and a final farewell. So far, 19,000 Koreans have been reunited face-to-face, but experts estimate that most of the remaining separated family members will die within the next 25 years. So for everyone to be reunited with their loved ones, at least 6,000 people must meet every year. That just shows how urgent it is for each one of these families, and there are growing calls for the reunions to be held on a regular basis beyond the politics of the two Koreas. Reporting live from the Inter-Korean Dialogue headquarters, this has been Connie Kim.
Now, South Korea, the United States and Japan will hold working-level defense talks in Tokyo from this Thursday. A South Korean military official says Park Geun-hye, who is deputy head of the International Policy Department at Seoul's Defense Ministry, will lead the South Korean delegation during the two-day closed-door meeting. The three sides are expected to discuss Japan's new security legislation that grants Tokyo the right to deploy troops overseas for the first time since World War II, and a number of other regional security issues. Now, Seoul has repeatedly stressed that Japan must get Seoul's consent before deploying troops to the Korean peninsula in an emergency or war situation. Japan says it will abide by international law, which means it could strictly send soldiers to North Korea because it's a different country. Now, after a couple of rather smoggy days, air quality over Korea has improved a lot, prompting authorities to lift a fine dust warning for the capital region. Officials say the warning was lifted in Seoul as of 3 a.m. this morning. The warning was issued on Wednesday after fine dust levels reached over 100 micrograms per cubic meter. Now, despite the downgrade, as you can see from the video there, the air quality still isn't that great. Fine dust levels remain higher than average in the central region. Those vulnerable, such as children, the elderly, and patients with breathing difficulties are also advised to restrict their outdoor activities until the dust passes. Now, in economic news, one of the brothers slugging it out for control of Korea's fifth largest conglomerate, Lotte Group, has made his younger brother an offer he hopes he can't refuse. However, most watchers agree that the offer will fall on deaf ears. Shin Se-min reports.
Shin Dong-ju, the eldest son of the founder of Lotte Group, says he wants to call a truce and for things to go back to how they were before the family feud over control of the conglomerate broke out. Dong-ju has proposed that he take over the group's operations in Japan and his younger brother, Dong-bin, take care of Lotte's interests in Korea. Dong-bin is currently chairman of Lotte Group in Korea and Japan. The offer comes as the rift between brothers has been deepening. Dong-ju has moved 7 employees at STJ Corporation, a company created to push for legal action against his brother, to his father's main office. He has also demanded Lotte Group send him business-related reports normally only reported to General Chairman. The group, however, refused the request, saying Shin Dong-ju has no legal authority to see the reports. Leading up to the event, Dong-ju became the CEO of the Japan-based Kwanghyunsa Corporation, the biggest stakeholder of unlisted Lotte Holdings that controls Lotte Group. Following that, Dong-ju removed his younger brother from the board of Kwanghyunsa. The older Shin also filed a lawsuit against his brother and the group's key affiliates to try and wrestle back control. Watchers say Shin Dong-bin is highly unlikely to take his brother up on his offer. Apologizing to the public for the family feud in August, Shin Dong-bin said Lotte Group would not be split under any circumstances.
Separating the group into two is not what I have in mind.
Now market watchers are questioning whether the warring brothers will ever be able to reach a deal acceptable to both and finally bury the hatchet. Shin Se-min, Arirang News.
Now, owners of Audi cars in Korea are taking legal action against Volkswagen Group for lying to them about emissions tests. Local law firm Barron says it has filed a class action lawsuit on behalf of 101 Korean Audi owners against Volkswagen Group, Audi, Volkswagen Korea and local dealers, demanding they return the profits earned through the deception. The law firm says that, had it not been for the automaker's fraudulent acts, the plaintiffs wouldn't have paid such hefty prices to buy cars that do not meet emission standards. Some Audi car owners have taken part in previous class actions against with other VW Group model owners, but this is the first case in Korea involving only Audi owners. US Vice President Joe Biden has announced that he will not be running for the Democratic nomination to become president. In an emotional address, he said after grieving the loss of his son this year, he does not have enough time to mount an effective challenge. Kwon Chang-ho has the details.
Flanked by his wife Jill and US President Barack Obama, Vice President Joe Biden announced Wednesday that he will not be running for president.
Unfortunately, I believe we're out of time, the time necessary to mount a winning campaign for the nomination. But while I will not be a candidate, I will not be silent. I intend to speak out clearly and forcefully, to influence as much as I can where we stand as a party and where we need to go as a nation.
Many Democrats had hoped he would offer an alternative for the Democratic nomination, but his decision not to mount a campaign has now essentially left it as a two-horse race between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders. Meanwhile, Paul Ryan has taken a step closer to becoming the next Speaker of the House, with the ultra-conservative House Freedom Caucus backing the Wisconsin congressman if he formally enters the race. In a controversial address on Tuesday, Ryan had declared his reluctance to take the position, saying he would only do it if he received the backing of all groups within the House Republican Conference. He also laid out a list of requirements that would have to be met.
I cannot and I will not give up my family time. I may not be on the road as often as previous speakers, but I pledge to try and make up for it with more time communicating our vision, our message.
It seems House Republicans are willing to give in to his demands when they vote on the matter next week. Now all Ryan has to do is run. Kwon Chang-ho, Arirang News.
China and Britain have been signing commercial deals totaling tens of billions of dollars during Chinese President Xi Jinping's stay in the country. The flagship announcement on Wednesday was a $9.2 billion investment by a Chinese state company in a nuclear power station in the southwest of the UK, which is due to be built by around 2025. British Prime Minister David Cameron said the deal was historic and would provide jobs and reliable, affordable energy for around 6 million homes. Cameron also announced, following talks with President Xi in Downing Street, that China had agreed not to conduct cyber espionage against UK companies. Asked about China's human rights issues, President Xi said his country attaches huge importance to human rights, but said there was room for improvement. Now, shifting gears now, Korean pop music and soap operas are quickly gaining fans around the world, and South American countries are absolutely no exception. Our Hwang Ji-hye reports from Venezuela, where she learned there are thousands of locals craving Korean culture.
As Korean idol group N-Black, the first to visit Venezuela, arrives at the airport, it's chaos. Some fans tear up, others scream in excitement.
I saw a video in the YouTube most viewed videos from Big Bang, and I got clinged by Kpop and started to research another Kpop groups. And the moment I saw N-Black, I fall in love.
And she's not alone. Thousands have gathered here at the Teresa Carreño Theater to take part in a Korean pop music festival. What's more surprising, it's organized by the K-pop fans themselves with the help of the Korean embassy in Venezuela.
We started this annual event in 2010, and back then only around 100 people came to the festival. But now we have over 2,500 audiences.
Officials here say the love toward Korean singers is a continent-wide phenomenon.
K-pop bands has been having a lot of influence, not only in Venezuela, but in other countries of South America. And Venezuela is not an exception.
No wonder South America is a market with as much potential as Asian countries for Korean artists.
We're leaving to Peru right after our performance in Venezuela. We are sure that the fans there will be very supportive, so we'll do our best.
And it's not just pop music. The cultural wave is spreading to Korea's food and fashion, an indication K-wave fever will not end anytime soon.
I love the language. I would like to learn it. The food. I love bibimbap. I love it. And kimchi also. I would like to dress someday with the traditional dress. I would love that. And also, I would like to marry a Korean guy.
Hwang Jie, Arirang News, Caracas.
Well, on that note, that's all we have for now. I'm Mark Broome. Have a wonderful day, and thank you as always for tuning in. Goodbye.